In a stunning turn of events, Canada has launched a monumental $110 billion energy retaliation against the United States, sending shockwaves through the political and economic landscapes of both nations. This unprecedented move comes in response to a series of trade disputes and tariffs that have strained relations between the two neighboring countries. As the world watches closely, the implications of this retaliation could reshape the energy market and redefine the dynamics of North American trade. To understand the significance of this event, we must first delve into the history of Canada-US relations. For decades, these two countries have enjoyed a robust partnership characterized by mutual trade agreements and shared interests. Particularly in the energy sector, Canada is one of the largest suppliers of oil and natural gas to the U.S., and any disruption in this relationship could have far-reaching consequences. However, recent tensions, fueled by protectionist policies and aggressive tariffs, have led to a growing sense of animosity. The backdrop of this energy retaliation is marked by a series of escalating trade wars, initiated by the previous U.S. administration under Donald Trump. His administration's imposition of tariffs on Canadian goods was met with outrage in Canada, where leaders argued that such measures were not only unfair, but also detrimental to the economic well-being of both nations. As negotiations faltered and diplomatic channels grew strained, Canada found itself at a crossroads, ultimately deciding to take a bold stand. The significance of Canada's $110 billion energy retaliation cannot be overstated. It represents not just a financial response, but a strategic maneuver aimed at asserting Canada's sovereignty and economic independence. By leveraging its vast energy resources, Canada is sending a clear message: it will not be bullied by its larger neighbor. This retaliation could lead to a revaluation of energy dependencies, prompting both countries to reconsider their positions in the global market. As we delve deeper into this unfolding story, we must consider the potential ramifications. How will this retaliation affect the energy prices in both countries? What will be the response from the U.S. government? And how will it impact the average American consumer? Moreover, what does this mean for future trade relations between Canada and the U.S.? In a world where economic interdependence is the norm, Canada's bold move serves as a reminder of the delicate balance of power in international relations. As we explore the details of this energy retaliation, we invite you to consider the broader implications of such actions. Will this be a turning point in Canada-US relations, or merely a temporary blip in a long-standing partnership? Stay tuned as we unpack the layers of this complex issue and reveal the surprising reactions from key players, including Donald Trump himself, who has expressed astonishment at the scale of Canada's response. The stage is set for a dramatic showdown, and the world is watching. To fully grasp the magnitude of Canada's $110 billion energy retaliation against the United States, it is essential to explore the historical context that has led to this unprecedented moment. The relationship between Canada and the U.S. has long been characterized by a complex interplay of cooperation and conflict, particularly in the realm of trade and energy. Understanding this backdrop is crucial to appreciating the significance of Canada's recent actions. Historically, Canada and the U.S. have enjoyed one of the most extensive trading relationships in the world. The two countries share the longest international border, and their economies are deeply intertwined. Canada is the largest foreign supplier of energy to the U.S., providing approximately 60% of its crude oil imports and a significant portion of its natural gas. This interdependence has fostered a sense of partnership, but it has also made Canada vulnerable to the whims of U.S. policy. The roots of the current tensions can be traced back to the 2016 U.S. presidential election, which saw Donald Trump rise to power on a platform of America First. His administration's approach to trade was marked by a willingness to impose tariffs and renegotiate existing agreements, leading to a series of confrontations with Canada. The North American Free Trade Agreement (NAFTA), which had governed trade relations between the U.S., Canada, and Mexico since 1994, became a focal point of contention. Trump's administration sought to replace NAFTA with the United States-Mexico-Canada Agreement (USMCA), which included provisions that many Canadian leaders viewed as unfavorable. Key events that shaped the narrative include the imposition of tariffs on Canadian steel and aluminum in 2018, which the U.S. justified on national security grounds. This move was met with swift retaliation from Canada, which imposed tariffs on a range of U.S. goods, including whiskey, yogurt, and various agricultural products. The tit-for-tat nature of these tariffs marked a significant deterioration in relations, with both countries engaging in a trade war that threatened to escalate further. Another pivotal moment occurred in 2019 when the U.S. government announced its intention to restrict Canadian oil imports under the guise of environmental concerns. This decision was met with outrage in Canada, where leaders argued that it was an attempt to undermine the Canadian energy sector. The Canadian government, led by Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, began to explore ways to assert its energy independence and reduce reliance on the U.S. market. As tensions continued to rise, the COVID-19 pandemic added another layer of complexity to the situation. The pandemic disrupted global supply chains and exacerbated existing economic vulnerabilities. In the wake of the crisis, both countries faced significant challenges, including fluctuating energy prices and a growing demand for renewable energy sources. Canada, with its vast reserves of oil sands and natural gas, found itself at a crossroads, needing to balance economic recovery with environmental sustainability. Amidst this backdrop, key figures emerged as stakeholders in the unfolding drama. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has been a vocal advocate for Canadian interests, emphasizing the importance of protecting the country's energy sector. His government has sought to diversify Canada's energy markets, looking to Asia and Europe as potential alternatives to the U.S. market. On the other side, former President Donald Trump's administration was characterized by a confrontational approach to trade, often prioritizing short-term gains over long-term partnerships. In addition to political leaders, various industry stakeholders play a crucial role in this narrative. Canadian oil and gas companies, such as Suncor Energy and Canadian Natural Resources, have been vocal in their opposition to U.S. tariffs and restrictions. These companies argue that a strong energy sector is vital for Canada's economic prosperity and job creation. Conversely, U.S. energy companies have expressed concerns about the potential impact of Canada's retaliation on their operations and the broader energy market. Statistics and data further illustrate the stakes involved in this conflict. According to the Canadian Association of Petroleum Producers, the oil and gas sector contributes approximately $8 billion to Canada's economy annually and supports over 500,000 jobs. In contrast, the U.S. Energy Information Administration reports that Canada accounted for about 3.7 million barrels per day of U.S. crude oil imports in 2020, highlighting the critical role Canada plays in meeting U.S. energy needs. As we delve deeper into the implications of Canada's $110 billion energy retaliation, it is essential to recognize the historical context and key events that have shaped this moment. The interplay of political decisions, economic realities, and stakeholder interests has culminated in a situation that could redefine the future of Canada-U.S. relations. With both countries at a crossroads, the coming months will be pivotal in determining the trajectory of this complex and evolving narrative. As of now, the landscape of Canada-U.S. relations has been dramatically altered by Canada's bold $110 billion energy retaliation against the United States. This unprecedented move has not only sent shockwaves through the political and economic spheres of both nations, but has also sparked a heated debate among various stakeholders. Understanding the current state of affairs requires an examination of recent developments, their implications, and the reactions from different parties involved. In the wake of Canada's announcement, the energy sector has become a focal point of contention. The Canadian government, under Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, has framed this retaliation as a necessary response to what it perceives as aggressive and unjust trade practices by the U.S. administration. The $110 billion figure represents a comprehensive strategy that includes tariffs on U.S. energy imports, restrictions on cross-border energy investments, and a push for Canadian energy independence. This retaliation is not merely a financial maneuver, it is a declaration of Canada's intent to protect its economic interests and assert its sovereignty in the face of perceived bullying from its southern neighbor. Recent developments have further intensified the situation. Following Canada's announcement, the U.S. government, led by President Joe Biden, has been forced to respond. The Biden administration, which has sought to take a more diplomatic approach compared to its predecessor, has expressed concern over the potential ramifications of Canada's actions. In a recent press conference, President Biden emphasized the importance of maintaining strong trade relations with Canada, but also hinted at the need for a reevaluation of energy policies that could lead to a more balanced partnership. This response indicates a recognition of the delicate nature of the relationship and the potential for further escalation if not handled carefully. The implications of Canada's retaliation extend beyond immediate trade disputes. The energy market is already feeling the effects, with fluctuations in oil prices and increased uncertainty among investors. Analysts predict that if the situation escalates, it could lead to a significant rise in energy prices in both countries, affecting consumers and businesses alike. The Canadian energy sector, which has been grappling with challenges related to environmental regulations and market access, now faces the dual pressure of retaliatory measures and the need to innovate and adapt to a changing global energy landscape. Reactions from various parties have been mixed, reflecting the complexity of the situation. Within Canada, there is a sense of national pride and solidarity among many citizens who view the retaliation as a necessary stand against U.S. aggression. Public opinion polls indicate that a significant portion of the Canadian population supports the government's decision, viewing it as a defense of Canadian sovereignty and economic interests. However, there are also concerns about the potential long-term consequences of such a bold move, particularly regarding job losses in industries reliant on U.S. trade. Businesses in the energy sector have also expressed a range of reactions. Some Canadian companies, particularly those involved in oil and gas production, have welcomed the government's stance, arguing that it is essential for protecting their interests in a competitive global market. Executives from major firms like Suncor Energy and Cenovus Energy have publicly supported the retaliation, emphasizing the need for a strong and independent Canadian energy sector. Conversely, smaller businesses and those relying on cross-border trade have voiced concerns about the potential for increased costs and disruptions in supply chains. In the U.S., reactions have been equally varied. Some lawmakers and industry leaders have criticized Canada's actions, arguing that they could lead to a detrimental trade war that would ultimately harm both economies. The American Petroleum Institute, representing U.S. oil and gas companies, has called for a swift resolution to the dispute, emphasizing the importance of collaboration between the two countries in addressing energy needs. On the other hand, there are voices within the U.S. government who recognize the need for a more nuanced approach to trade relations with Canada, advocating for dialogue and negotiation rather than confrontation. The media landscape has also played a significant role in shaping public perception of the situation. Coverage of Canada's retaliation has been extensive, with headlines highlighting the potential for a trade war and the implications for energy prices. Analysts and commentators have weighed in on the potential outcomes, with some predicting that this could be a turning point in Canada-U.S. relations, while others cautioned against overreacting to the situation. As the situation continues to evolve, it is clear that the stakes are high for both Canada and the U.S. The energy sector, a critical component of both economies, is at the center of this conflict, and the decisions made in the coming weeks and months will have lasting implications. The potential for further escalation looms large, but so does the opportunity for dialogue and resolution. In conclusion, the current state of affairs surrounding Canada's $110 billion energy retaliation is marked by tension, uncertainty, and a complex interplay of interests. As both countries navigate this challenging landscape, the reactions from governments, businesses, and the public will shape the trajectory of this unfolding narrative. The world is watching closely, and the outcome of this confrontation could redefine the future of Canada-U.S. relations for years to come. The $110 billion energy retaliation by Canada against the United States is poised to have far-reaching impacts across various sectors, including the economy, environment, and society. As both nations grapple with the consequences of this unprecedented move, it is essential to explore the potential short-term and long-term effects, supported by case studies and examples that illustrate the complexities of the situation. Additionally, the controversies surrounding differing opinions on the retaliation will be addressed, highlighting the multifaceted nature of this conflict. In the immediate aftermath of Canada's retaliation, the energy market has experienced significant volatility. Oil prices have fluctuated, with analysts predicting a potential increase in costs for consumers in both countries. For instance, the price of West Texas Intermediate WTI crude oil saw a spike of nearly 10% following the announcement, reflecting market uncertainty and speculation about future supply disruptions. This volatility can lead to increased costs for businesses reliant on energy, potentially resulting in higher prices for consumers. Moreover, the retaliatory tariffs imposed by Canada on U.S. energy imports could lead to a decrease in cross-border trade. According to the U.S. Energy Information Administration, Canada accounted for approximately 3.7 million barrels per day of U.S. crude oil imports in 2020. A significant reduction in these imports could disrupt supply chains and lead to job losses in sectors dependent on this trade, particularly in the U.S. Midwest, where many refineries rely on Canadian crude. In the long term, the retaliation could prompt both countries to reevaluate their energy strategies. Canada may accelerate its efforts to diversify its energy markets, seeking to reduce reliance on the U.S. market by increasing exports to Asia and Europe. This shift could lead to the development of new infrastructure, such as pipelines and export terminals, which would require substantial investment and time to implement. Conversely, the U.S. may be compelled to reassess its energy policies and trade relationships. The Biden administration has emphasized the importance of energy independence and sustainability, which could lead to a renewed focus on domestic energy production and renewable sources. This shift may create opportunities for innovation and investment in clean energy technologies, but it could also exacerbate tensions with Canada if not managed carefully. The energy retaliation raises significant environmental concerns, particularly regarding the carbon footprint associated with increased oil production and transportation. As Canada seeks to bolster its energy sector, there is a risk of heightened environmental degradation, particularly in regions where oil sands extraction occurs. The extraction process is known for its substantial greenhouse gas emissions and ecological disruption, leading to concerns about Canada's commitment to climate change mitigation. In the long run, the retaliation could have profound implications for both countries' environmental policies. Canada may face increased pressure from environmental groups and the public to transition to renewable energy sources, especially if the backlash from the U.S. leads to a reevaluation of its energy strategy. This transition could be accelerated by international climate agreements and commitments, pushing Canada to invest in cleaner technologies. For the U.S., the potential for increased domestic oil production could conflict with environmental goals. The Biden administration has pledged to reduce carbon emissions and promote clean energy, but a renewed focus on fossil fuels could undermine these efforts. The challenge will be to balance energy needs with environmental sustainability, a task that will require collaboration and innovative solutions. The societal implications of Canada's retaliation are multifaceted. In Canada, public sentiment appears to be largely supportive of the government's stance, with many citizens viewing it as a necessary defense of national interests. However, there are concerns about the potential for job losses in industries relying on U.S. trade, particularly in sectors such as agriculture and manufacturing. The retaliatory measures could lead to increased prices for consumers, affecting everyday life and potentially leading to public discontent. In the U.S., the backlash against Canada's actions may exacerbate existing divisions within the political landscape. Some lawmakers may use the situation to rally support for protectionist policies, while others may advocate for a more diplomatic approach. The potential for a trade war could lead to increased polarization, impacting public opinion and political discourse. Over time, the societal impacts of the retaliation could lead to a reevaluation of national identities and relationships between the two countries. As Canada seeks to assert its sovereignty, there may be a growing sense of nationalism that could influence future policy decisions. Conversely, the U.S. may need to confront its role as a dominant economic power and consider the implications of its actions on neighboring countries. One relevant case study is the 2018 trade dispute between the U.S. and Canada over softwood lumber. The U.S. imposed tariffs on Canadian lumber imports, leading to retaliatory measures from Canada. The dispute resulted in significant economic consequences for both countries, with job losses in the lumber industry, and as Canada's $110 billion energy retaliation against the United States unfolds, the future outlook for both countries is fraught with uncertainty and potential for significant change. The current trends suggest a complex interplay of economic, political, and environmental factors that will shape the trajectory of Canada-US relations in the coming years. This chapter will speculate on possible future developments, discuss potential solutions and strategies to address the issues at hand, and highlight upcoming events or decisions that could influence the outcome. Additionally, expert opinions and forecasts will provide insight into the evolving landscape. One of the most likely developments in the wake of Canada's retaliation is a realignment of economic relationships. Canada may accelerate its efforts to diversify its energy markets, seeking to reduce its dependence on the U.S. market. This could involve increasing exports to Asia, particularly to countries like China and India, which are experiencing growing energy demands. The construction of new pipelines and export terminals could become a priority for the Canadian government, leading to significant investments in infrastructure. Conversely, the U.S. may respond by reevaluating its energy policies and seeking to bolster domestic production. This could lead to a renewed focus on fossil fuels, particularly in states that rely heavily on oil and gas production. However, this approach may conflict with the Biden administration's climate goals, creating a tension between economic growth and environmental sustainability. The political landscape in both countries is also likely to evolve in response to the current situation in Canada. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's government may face pressure from both environmental groups advocating for a transition to renewable energy and from industry stakeholders demanding protection for the energy sector. Balancing these competing interests will be crucial for maintaining public support and ensuring economic stability. In the U.S., the political response to Canada's actions could lead to increased polarization. Lawmakers may use the situation to rally support for protectionist policies, while others may advocate for a more diplomatic approach. The outcome of upcoming elections could significantly influence the direction of U.S. trade policy, particularly if new leadership emerges that prioritizes collaboration over confrontation. One of the most effective strategies for addressing the current tensions is through diplomatic engagement. Both countries would benefit from open dialogue and negotiation to resolve trade disputes and find common ground. Establishing a bilateral task force focused on energy trade could facilitate discussions on tariffs, market access, and environmental standards. This approach would not only help to de-escalate tensions, but also foster a collaborative environment for addressing shared challenges such as climate change and energy security. Both Canada and the U.S. have an opportunity to invest in renewable energy technologies as a means of reducing reliance on fossil fuels. By collaborating on clean energy initiatives, the two countries could create a more sustainable energy future while also addressing the economic concerns of workers. In traditional energy sectors, joint investments in research and development, as well as infrastructure for renewable energy, could pave the way for a more resilient and diversified energy landscape. Raising public awareness about the implications of the current situation is essential for fostering understanding and support for potential solutions. Both governments should engage in public education campaigns to inform citizens about the importance of energy independence, environmental sustainability, and the benefits of collaboration. By fostering a more informed public, leaders can build support for policies that prioritize long-term solutions over short-term gains. Several upcoming events and decisions could significantly influence the outcome of the current situation. The U.S. midterm elections, scheduled for November 2022, will play a crucial role in shaping the political landscape. Depending on the results, the balance of power in Congress could shift, impacting trade policy and the approach to Canada. If a more protectionist faction gains influence, tensions may escalate further, while a more collaborative approach could lead to renewed efforts for dialogue. Additionally, international climate conferences, such as the United Nations Climate Change Conference (P), will provide a platform for both countries to address shared environmental goals. These events could serve as opportunities for Canada and the U.S. to reaffirm their commitments to climate action, while also discussing the implications of their energy policies on global sustainability efforts. Experts in international trade and energy policy have weighed in on the potential outcomes of the current situation. Dr. Sarah McCaffrey, an energy economist at the University of Toronto, suggests that the future of Canada-US relations will largely depend on the ability of both countries to engage in constructive dialogue. If they can find common ground on energy policy, it could lead to a more stable and prosperous relationship. Similarly, Dr. James Thompson, a political analyst at the Brookings Institution, emphasizes the importance of addressing the underlying issues driving the conflict. Both countries need to recognize that their economies are interconnected. A trade war will only harm both sides. Collaborative solutions that prioritize sustainability and economic growth are essential for a positive future. And in conclusion, Canada's $110 billion energy retaliation against the United States marks a pivotal moment in the complex relationship between these two neighboring countries. This script has explored the historical context leading to the current situation, the immediate and long-term impacts across various sectors, and the potential future developments that could arise from this unprecedented move. The interplay of economic, political, and environmental factors underscores the significance of this issue, not only for Canada and the U.S., but for the global community as well. Key points discussed include the economic ramifications of the retaliation, which could lead to a realignment of energy markets and increased volatility in oil prices. The political dynamics are equally crucial, as both countries navigate the challenges of public sentiment, industry pressures, and the need for diplomatic engagement. Environmental considerations also play a vital role, with the potential for increased fossil fuel production conflicting with climate goals. The importance of collaboration and innovative solutions, particularly in renewable energy, has been emphasized as a pathway to a more sustainable future. The relevance of this topic extends beyond the immediate economic and political implications. It speaks to broader themes of national sovereignty, environmental responsibility, and the interconnectedness of global economies. As citizens of both Canada and the U.S., we have a stake in the outcome of this situation, as it will shape the future of energy policy, trade relations, and environmental stewardship for generations to come. As we reflect on the complexities of this issue, it is essential to recognize the power of informed engagement. We encourage you, the audience, to take an active role in understanding the implications of Canada's energy retaliation. Stay informed by following reputable news sources, engaging in discussions about energy policy, and advocating for sustainable practices in your communities. Consider reaching out to your local representatives to express your views on energy independence and environmental sustainability. Your voice matters in shaping the policies that will define our energy future. Additionally, explore opportunities to support renewable energy initiatives and organizations that promote sustainable practices. In a world where energy needs and environmental challenges are increasingly intertwined, it is crucial that we work together to find solutions that benefit both our economies and our planet. Let us embrace this moment as an opportunity for dialogue, collaboration, and innovation. By engaging with this issue, we can contribute to a more sustainable and prosperous future for both Canada and the United States. As we wrap up this discussion on Canada's $110 billion energy retaliation against the United States, we hope you found the insights valuable and thought-provoking. This topic is not just about trade and energy. It's about the future of our economies, our environment, and our relationships with one another. If you enjoyed this video and want to stay updated on similar content, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us continue to bring you important discussions and analysis on pressing issues. And don't forget to share this video with your friends and family. Engaging in conversations about these topics can help raise awareness and foster understanding in our communities. Together, we can make a difference. Thank you for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.